Give me the news. I got a bad case of loving you.
Hello to all you super coaches out there, and what another big week it has been in the world of Supercoach. It's been a big week of suspensions. There were some big suspensions last week, and there's been a few more this week with Jimmy Bartell being suspended on top of Dustin Martin for club suspension, Brendan Goddard as well. Now the news that Buddy Franklin is out for a few weeks as well. So look, those are sort of players that a lot of players have got, and this is where bench cover is becoming vitally important in Supercoach. We did touch on that last week about even trading for bench cover just to make sure you've got some cover, and it's proving to be true. We've been banging on all year about people saving their trades and not wasting them, not doing sideways trades and just doing stupid trades that aren't necessary. This is exactly the reason why, because when you get to this stage of the year, this is when you need them. Injuries, suspensions, players being rested. Stevie J, a late pull out on Saturday. I know one of the doctors, not me, the other one, had Stevie J, and he was crucified for crucified his side, having Stevie J pull out so late. So this is where you've got to have your cover. I know a lot of people are running low on trades, so this is where a trading centre becomes vitally important. Anyway, enough of the doom and gloom. Just remember though, everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's got the same sort of problems. It's not just you that has got, donut issues and lack of trades and all that sort of stuff. So let's hope the trading centre gives you a little bit of help. We'll start off with the backs. Got a few backs here that you should be looking at. I'm trying to steer away from all the big dollar ones because most of them speak for themselves, especially in all positions. And at this stage of the year, not everyone's got huge dollars. You're looking for a bit of a bargain just to fill those last couple of spots in your side. So look, I reckon Jed Adcock, he's a pretty good player in the back line at 447k. I reckon he's good value. He's averaging 92 this year, which is solid. But look at his last five. That's where we look to for some consistency. 99 in his last five, and 3 out of his last 5 been over 110. And Brisbane are starting to play pretty good footy. So look, Jed Adcock's a really good one to have a look at. Around a similar price, 446k, is Matt Suckling. Now look, he did have a big game against GWS, as a lot of Hawthorn players did. He is averaging 90 this year. In his last 5, he's averaged 94, which is very good. We know Hawthorn like to get the ball in his hand, and he's a great kick, and at that price, he's pretty good value. Now, this is we went on about Sam Fisher last week as being the big value back man, and he still is huge value at 405k. Averaging 84 this year, forget that figure. Look at his last 2. 81 2 weeks ago, 88 on the weekend. He's just starting to creep up, and at 405, if you're looking for someone for your back line, I reckon he is your number one man to be getting on. Sam Fisher, he's been a perennial Supercoach star the last few years. He's just starting to get back into his form. And as are St Kilda, which is always good to be on some winning form, jump on Sam Fisher. Good price, 405. What a bargain. Now, one of the midfielders, as always, there's plenty around. Scott Thompson, he has been an absolute superstar this year. 118 average. I've had him for most of the year, and I've been wrapped with him. Look, only once has he been under 90 this year. That just shows really good consistency. He's had a couple of average weeks the last few weeks, but bounced back with a big 143 on the weekend, and at 539, not super cheap, but I reckon still really good value. Look at that average, 118 this year. That's a great average and a great price. Scotty Thompson from Adelaide. Now this is one I haven't really spoken about at all this year. Sean Grigg, 479. I reckon it's pretty cheap. Not a huge average, averaging 101. But look, he's only been under 90 4 times this year, so that just shows he's pretty consistent, doesn't rack up massive scores, and it just really escapes the tag at Richmond. A lot of the tags always go to your Deledios, your Cotchins, those sorts of guys. Sean Grigg just creeps under the radar, and at 479, really good price for someone to fill that last spot in your midfield. Now, Jared McVeigh, look, he is a good player. Sydney are playing good football, doesn't really get tagged, often does a bit of tagging himself, so he's only averaging 96. And he's at 504k, which isn't super cheap, but it's still pretty good. Now, last 5 average is where we look for consistency, 111. But look at his last two, 152, 137. He can go big, which is what you need, especially coming into finals. Jarrod McVeigh, have a good look at him. There's your midfielders for this week. I reckon there's a few good ones in there to be looking at for your side. Righto, on to the rucks. Now, it hasn't been a great year for ruckman, unless you've got Dean Cox and Nat Nui. Probably hasn't been a great year, or Marriage from Richmond, obviously. But look, I reckon Sam Jacobs has been one of the really consistent ones this year, and that's where we look at that last 5 average of 109 and his average of 100 this year. So there, look, he's really good value. Someone who's going to be really consistent if you haven't got that, 600 odd to spend on Cox. Now, this is my one to watch for on the weekend. Matthew Cruiser. Hampson's gone down with injury. He's out for the year. I believe Warnock may be suspended, which is probably good news because I don't think he's that much chop anyway. He scored 100 on the weekend. Don't worry about his average of 88. That's going to improve. But at 415k, I think he's a bargain, and he's going to do a lot of rucking for the rest of the year. He's going to be the main man. Don't think he's going to spend a huge amount of time forward. I think he's going to be spending most of his time in the ruck, and he's going to be doing that, getting a lot of game time. So Matthew Cruz at 415. I think it's really good value. Now, the reason I've got Mark Jomar in there is the Jonathan Giles factor. Now, I know we've been saying all year, don't sideways trade, but one of the caveats we've had on that is that severe form slump, and I think a lot of people are thinking Jonathan Giles has probably run his race this year, but the problem is he's down to 370, and you're not going to get a lot for 370. So if you're looking for a little sidewayser, and look, to be honest, Mark Jomar, is it really worth going Giles to Jmar? Probably not, but if you really want to do it, he's the guy to go for. Look, he's only been once over 100 this year. Giles has done better than that, but if you really want to get rid of Giles, Jmar is probably your best option. If you've got a little bit of cash in the bank, Cruz is your next best if you can get up to 415 with your dollars. So they're ruck options, I reckon, for this week. Not a lot doing there. If you've got your rucks, you're probably pretty much going to have to cop it sweet for the rest of the year with your rucks. But if you can raise cash, with Stevenson already, if you still got them, jump on Tommy Campbell from the Bulldogs to raise a bit of cash, who might help you get a better ruckman or use it in another position. On to the forwards. Paddy Dangerfield, as we know, he's having a great year. Been a little bit down the last month or so, but he's still going alright. As you can see with his last 5 average of 103, 107 average for the year, but at 5'11", I reckon he's come into bargain calculations there. So if you're looking for a really good player for your forward line for the rest of the year, Paddy Dangerfield's at a pretty good price at the moment. Now, Mitch Robinson, 479k, real bargain at the moment. He's averaging 96 this year, which is pretty good. And look at his last 3, 104. So look, he's really stepped up the last month or so. And 96 shows he's been pretty consistent. So at 479, I reckon he's really good value for your forward line at the minute. And Carlton back in town at the moment. Now this is a little bit out of left field, and this guy's been a big super coach tease the last few years in that Paddy Dangerfield area. Although Dangerfield's obviously taken off. Sean Higgins, 427. This is from people who obviously haven't got huge dollars to spend in your forward line. But look at his last 3. His average for the year, pretty, not that great. Look at his last 3, 104. He might have just started to find his niche under Brendan McCartney's game plan. And the last 3 average of 104. If you haven't got a huge amount of dollars, have a look at Shawnee Higgins. He could be a little bit of value for the rest of the year in your forward line. Now, we're going to boot it home with my absolute buy of the week, and this is an absolute belter. Could be the buy of the season. I know I said that last week about Juddy, and if you haven't got Juddy, geez, you should have been listening to us 2 weeks ago. He has saluted, and I think this bloke's going to do the same. Adam Goods, we know about his injury, we know he's back. 446,000. Now this applies to your forward line and your midfield, obviously. $446,900 is an absolute bargain. Less than Juddy. Had 148 points on the weekend, which is sensational. Break even of 48, so he's probably only going to go up in value from here. So if you're going to get him, you've got to get him now. Now, if you take out his injury game about 6 or so weeks ago, or 8 weeks ago, which is in the 20s. He's averaged 107 this year, that's typical Goodsy. That's what you get. He's a star. $446,000. I cannot emphasise enough. If you're looking for someone in your forward line, Adam Goods is the man. This is the week to do it. He's only going to be more expensive. Don't say you didn't hear about it. Adam Goods, get on it if you have to make a trade in your forward or midfield, especially this week. There's your best buy of the week. As always, get on Facebook, get involved. Plenty of activity on there. Good to see a few people jumping in and having a crack at answering their fellow super coaches' questions as well. It's great. Get involved. That's what we're all there to help each other as we're getting down to the business end of the year. Alright, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. Good luck this week, everyone.